Welcome to the blood-soaked sands of the Roman Colosseum, where movie screens assure us every battle ended in certain death. But what if the history books and Hollywood got it completely wrong? Were these legendary fighters actually doomed slaves fighting for their final breath? Or were they the highly paid superstars of the ancient world? Imagine receiving top-tier medical care from the finest surgeons in the empire and eating a carefully planned diet. This was the shocking reality of a gladiator's life. Today, we tear down the myths of the arena and uncover the true business of ancient blood sports. Prepare to meet the real warriors behind the Roman legends. To understand the truth, we must travel back to the training schools, or ludi, where gladiators were forged. Using direct archaeological evidence and skeletal remains, historians have reconstructed their daily lives. We will analyze how these fighters were trained, treated, and why killing them was the worst business decision a manager could make. The evidence lies buried beneath the ashes of time. Was the arena a slaughterhouse, or was it the ultimate high-stakes sporting league of antiquity? Let us dive deep into the real history of the gladiators. Modern pop culture has painted a grim picture. Hopeless slaves marched into the arena to be slaughtered for entertainment. We see movie heroes battling against impossible odds, forced to kill or be killed in every single match. In this fictionalized world, every combat ended with a merciless thumb pointing down, followed by a swift execution. But did the Romans really have such a massive appetite for constant bloodshed? Movies show emperors deciding the fate of every fallen warrior on a whim, treating lives like cheap disposable toys. This narrative is highly dramatic, but it completely ignores the enormous financial reality behind the games. If every match ended in death, the entire gladiator industry would have collapsed in a single season. No business model could survive losing its entire trained workforce every afternoon. The truth is, gladiators were elite athletes, and their owners spent fortunes to keep them healthy. But where did this massive misconception of non-stop death actually come from? Most of our modern ideas about gladiator death matches stem from 19th century romantic paintings. Artists of the Victorian era loved to paint highly exaggerated, sensationalized scenes of Roman cruelty. One painting in particular, Polis Verso by Jean-Léon Gérôme, solidified the myth of the thumbs-down gesture. This single artwork influenced Hollywood directors for over a century, despite containing major historical errors. But historians have pointed out that ancient Roman writers used the gesture differently. A thumb pressed down or covered actually meant spare his life, while an outstretched thumb meant kill. Hollywood blockbusters of the late 20th century took these 19th century paintings and ran with them, creating the ultimate cinematic playground of death. They stripped away the nuance and replaced it with a relentless parade of execution and brutality. But behind the scenes sat the lanista, the gladiator manager, who viewed these fighters not as disposable toys, but as high-value business assets. To a lanista, every death of a trained gladiator was a catastrophic financial loss. Under Roman contract law, renting a gladiator who survived was relatively cheap, but if that gladiator died, the sponsor had to pay the owner 50 times that price. It was a massive financial penalty that deterred casual executions in the arena. Historical records reveal that ancient gladiator matches were highly regulated sporting events, not chaotic street fights. Two professional referees stood in the arena to enforce strict rules, stop illegal moves, and pause the action. If a fighter was too exhausted or sustained an accidental, non-lethal cut, the referee could declare a temporary pause, or missio. This allowed both competitors to leave the sand with their lives, returning to fight another day. When a gladiator knew they were beaten, they did not wait for a sword to the throat. They raised a single finger to signal surrender. This legal gesture, called ad digitum, instantly halted the combat and froze all action. Surviving written records from the 1st century show that death in the arena was surprisingly rare, occurring in only about 10% of matches. Most gladiators walked out of the Colosseum alive, heading back to their quarters to heal. Gladiators were the elite sports stars of their day. They had massive fan bases, local sponsorships, and were featured on ancient commercial goods. Children played with clay toy gladiators, and Roman women bought their sweat as a beauty cosmetic. Each warrior was trained in a highly specialized school, learning a specific theatrical fighting style designed to create an exciting matchup. An agile net and trident fighter was paired against a heavily armored opponent to maximize the tactical drama. To protect their expensive investment, trainers forced gladiators to practice with heavy wooden swords called roods. These practice weapons were actually twice as heavy as real steel swords, building immense strength. Written historical sources mockingly called gladiators hordeari, or barley men, because of their vegetarian, carbohydrate-rich diet. They stuffed themselves with barley beans and oatmeal to build a thick, protective layer of fat. This thick layer of fat acted as a natural shield against slashing weapons, protecting vital organs and blood vessels from deep damage. It allowed them to bleed dramatically on the sand for the crowd's entertainment while remaining perfectly safe. When a gladiator was injured, they received the best medical care available in the ancient world. The legendary physician Galen of Pergamon spent years working as a gladiator doctor, perfecting surgical and healing techniques. Modern archaeology has confirmed these written accounts. In 1993, researchers excavated a massive gladiator cemetery in Ephesus. The skeletal remains of 67 gladiators provided an absolute treasure trove of scientific data. Isotopic analysis of their bones confirmed their strict vegetarian diet and revealed incredibly high levels of calcium and bone density. This was the direct result of drinking a brew of plant ashes in water, an ancient energy drink that accelerated healing. The Ephesus bones showed highly advanced healing, indicating that injured gladiators received treatment of the highest quality. Many skeletons had bones that had knitted perfectly back together, showing they were given ample time to rest and recover. Forensic analysis of skull injuries revealed single, clean marks from specific weapons rather than multiple, chaotic fractures. This proves that battles were strictly controlled by referees, preventing a fallen fighter from being repeatedly struck. If gladiators were subject to lawless butchery, their remains would show desperate defensive wounds on their arms and hands. Yet, these forensic telltale signs of panic and chaotic combat are almost entirely missing from the excavated remains. Archaeologists have also recovered highly specialized gladiator helmets with incredibly narrow eye holes. These helmets were engineered specifically to protect the face from the sharp prongs of a retiarius trident. In contrast, the agile retiarius fighter wore no helmet at all, relying on speed and a high metal shoulder guard. This designed asymmetry kept the matches visually thrilling and technically balanced for the spectators. Excavations at the gladiator barracks in Pompeii uncovered ancient wall graffiti recording specific fight outcomes. These inscriptions read like modern sports stats, showing that top fighters could tally dozens of career matches. Each weapon discovered in these barracks was custom forged and highly balanced, far from clumsy iron cleavers. The gladius was a weapon of surgical precision, designed to slide between armor gaps rather than crush bones. In rare cases where execution was ordered, it was carried out with professional, sober precision, not bloody chaos. The defeated warrior would kneel and calmly receive a single, quick sword strike to the throat, maintaining his dignity. But what do modern sports scientists and researchers say when they analyze this ancient athletic business using state-of-the-art simulations and biomechanics? Modern experts have reconstructed their physical capabilities. Calculations show that gladiator helmets were incredibly efficient at absorbing shock and distributing impact force. This superior protection minimized concussions, keeping the fighters conscious and active throughout long matches. Biomechanical models of the Roman scutum shield show it was not just a wall, but a highly active defensive weapon. Fighters used the central metal boss to punch and disorient opponents, opening up strategic lanes of attack. Research into Colosseum acoustics reveals that referees could easily shout commands over the roar of 50,000 fans. The specific elliptical design of the stone arena functioned as a natural megaphone, amplifying close-range sounds. Architectural logistics show that the Colosseum was designed like a modern sports stadium, optimized for speed and crowd control, trapdoors, complex elevator pulleys, and 80 separate arched exits could empty 50,000 people in minutes. Recent forensic facial reconstructions of gladiators from Ephesus show rugged, powerful, but remarkably cared-for faces. These models dismantle the idea of battered, scarred slaves, revealing healthy, athletic, and respected men. Furthermore, dietitians confirmed that the high-carb barley diet was biochemically perfect for high-endurance combat. It supplied steady energy and sustained muscles, proving their lifestyle was thoroughly optimized for elite performance. Let us place myth and reality side by side to see the absolute truth of the arena. First, Hollywood shows gladiators chewing on massive joints of roasted meat like wild beasts. In movies, they wear heavy fantasy leather armor with spikes and skulls, designed solely for theatrical look. In reality, they wore highly specialized, protective bronze gear that covered vulnerable limbs while leaving the chest exposed. We are told that gladiator fights were chaotic, lawless brawls where anything goes, but historical manuals show they fought like Olympic fencers, using precise thrusts and parries under strict rules. Cinema claims that every match was a fight to the death with zero chance of escape. In reality, with a 90% survival rate, an average gladiator could easily expect to survive 10 or more matches. We imagine these fighters living in constant terror, waiting for their execution, but the real gladiators were driven by fame, lucrative prize money, and the adoration of Roman society. These stark contrasts show that the Roman arena was a highly profitable, professional sports business. It was a spectacle carefully balanced between dramatic entertainment and commercial value. Now, with all the scientific, forensic, and historical evidence laid bare on the sand, what is the final verdict on the legend of the Roman gladiators? Are these bloody death matches a total fabrication, or is there a shred of truth to the stories? It is time to reveal our official rating scale. We rate the myth of the constant, lawless gladiator slaughterhouse as partly true. Yes, there were real fights and real dangers, but the system was heavily regulated and optimized for survival. They fought in a highly controlled athletic league where they were treated as valuable investments, not disposable slaves. The narrative of total, lawless slaughter is a complete distortion of history. But that is only part of the story. There is one shocking bonus fact that history books rarely mention. Did you know that Roman gladiators were not just men? Yes, female fighters, known as gladiatrices, fought in the arena under the exact same strict regulations. They were rare, highly exclusive, and their matches were treated as premier luxury events for the elite. Archaeological discoveries, such as a bronze statuette in Hamburg and inscriptions from Halicarnassus, confirm their existence. They were highly celebrated and enjoyed identical levels of public notoriety and glory. The history of warfare is packed with hidden truths, far grander than any Hollywood screen could ever capture. Subscribe to Chrono Battles as we continue to unlock the real stories behind history's greatest legends. Which historical myth should we bust next? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, keep questioning the legends, and we will see you on the next battlefield.